This is the most spiritual place in America.
Friends or family really were worried that it was some kind of cult or religion.
And they have a
self. But strangely, what's never been done is scaling an experiment up, way up, to the size of a city.
Influential people of the time created a city that set out to solve.
दोस्तों, क्या आप यकीन करोगे अगर मैं आपसे कहूँ कि दुनिया में एक ऐसा हिंदू राष्ट्र भी एग्जिस्ट करता है जिसको दुनिया के सबसे फेमस साइंटिस्ट लीड करते हैं। एक ऐसा हिंदू राष्ट्र जहाँ पर वैज्ञानिक हमारे वेद और उपनिषदों को सीधा मॉडर्न साइंस से रिलेट करके नई डिस्कवरीज करते हैं। और इस देश में रहने वाला हर एक साइंटिस्ट भगवान श्री राम का सच्चा भक्त है, जिसके कारण यहाँ पर रहने वाला हर एक वैज्ञानिक अपने पूरे परिवार को सनातन धर्म में लीन करता है। और दोस्तों, इस हिंदू राष्ट्र में वो सभी डिपार्टमेंट्स मौजूद हैं जो एक देश को चलाने के लिए बेहद ही जरूरी होते हैं। यहाँ तक कि इस देश की खुद की कैपिटल भी है, जिसको नाम दिया गया है वैदिक सिटी, जहाँ पर वेदों और उपनिषदों के माध्यम से साइंटिस्ट न्यू डिस्कवरीज करते हैं। तो दोस्तों, क्या आप यकीन कर सकते हो कि दुनिया में कोई ऐसा देश भी मौजूद है जहाँ पर दुनिया के अलग अलग देशों से आए हुए स्कॉलर्स सनातन धर्म पर अपना पूरा जीवन निछावर कर देते हैं, जिनके बारे में जानकर आपको भी काफी ज्यादा प्राउड फील होगा। तो दोस्तों, इसलिए आज की इस वीडियो में हम बात करने वाले हैं दुनिया में मौजूद एक ऐसे हिंदू राष्ट्र के बारे में जिसको दुनिया के सबसे फेमस साइंटिस्ट लीड करते हैं और जिसके बारे में बहुत ही कम लोगों को पता है। तो इसलिए आज की इस वीडियो को पूरा जरूर देखना, और अगर आपको ये वीडियो इम्पोर्टेंट लगती है तो इसको अपने रिलेटिव्स के साथ भी जरूर से जरूर शेयर कर देना। तो चलिए देखते हैं। दोस्तों, ये है ग्लोबल कंट्री ऑफ वर्ल्ड पीस, शॉर्ट में GCWP, एक बॉर्डरलेस हिंदू नेशन जिसको लीड कर रहे हैं एक फेमस न्यूरो साइंटिस्ट डॉक्टर टोनी नेडर, जिनको महाराजा आदिराज राजा राम के रूप में भी जाना जाता है। डॉक्टर टोनी नेडर एक फेमस न्यूरो साइंटिस्ट के साथ साथ एक रिसर्चर, यूनिवर्सिटी प्रेसिडेंट, ऑथर और एक लीडर है ट्रांसेंडेंटल मेडिटेशन मूवमेंट के, जिसने मॉडर्न मेडिकल साइंस के साथ साथ सनातन धर्म के वेदों और उपनिषदों की बेहद ही डीपली स्टडी की हुई है। इसलिए इन्होंने अपने पूरे परिवार के साथ सनातन धर्म को दिल से अपनाया हुआ है और इनका मानना है कि सनातन धर्म के वेदों और उपनिषदों में मौजूद अमूल्य ज्ञान आज की मॉडर्न साइंस के साथ पूरी तरह से मेल खाता है, जिस पर डॉक्टर टोनी ने बहुत बार रिसर्च भी की हुई है। इसलिए ये पिछले कई सालों से ग्लोबल कंट्री ऑफ वर्ल्ड पीस को लीड कर रहे हैं। दोस्तों, इस हिंदू राष्ट्र को नेचुरल लॉज एंड वैदिक प्रिंसिपल यानी कि प्रकृति के नियम और वेदों के प्रिंसिपल के माध्यम से ही चलाया जाता है। इसलिए ग्लोबल कंट्री ऑफ वर्ल्ड पीस में संस्कृत को नेशनल लैंग्वेज और आइडियल लैंग्वेज बनाया गया है। पर दोस्तों, संस्कृत के बाद यहाँ पर इंग्लिश और दूसरी कॉमन लैंग्वेजेस को भी यूज किया जाता है। पर दोस्तों, अब यहाँ पर आपके मन में बहुत सारे पर्सन भी उठ रहे होंगे कि ऐसा हिंदू नेशन दुनिया में कहाँ पर मौजूद है जिसको फेमस साइंटिस्ट एंड स्कॉलर्स लीड कर रहे हैं। तो दोस्तों, इस वैदिक हिंदू कंट्री की लोकेशन है आयोवा स्टेट ऑफ USA, और इस देश की कैपिटल महर्षि वैदिक सिटी भी USA के इसी स्टेट में मौजूद है। ग्लोबल कंट्री ऑफ वर्ल्ड पीस के टोटल 12 डिपार्टमेंट्स हैं, जैसे लॉ एंड ऑर्डर, एजुकेशन, हेल्थ, आर्किटेक्चर, ट्रेड एंड कॉमर्स, डिफेंस, रिलीजन एंड कल्चर, एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन और फाइनेंस एंड प्लानिंग। सन 2002 में GCWP के फाइनेंस डिपार्टमेंट ने भगवान श्री राम के नाम से बैरर बॉन्ड एंड लोकल करेंसी इशूड की थी, जिस पर भगवान श्री राम का फोटो प्रिंट है और इस करेंसी पर लिखा हुआ है विश्व शांति राष्ट्र। भगवान राम के नाम से बनाई गई इस करेंसी को USA स्टेट आयोवा और नीदरलैंड में अप्रूवल दिया गया था, जहां पर नीदरलैंड में 1 राम की वैल्यू 10 यूरोज रखी गई और USA में 1 राम की वैल्यू $10 रखी गई थी। और दोस्तों, सन 2003 में GCWP के फाइनेंस डिपार्टमेंट ने 1, 5 और 10 के राम नोट इशूड किए थे। और जो वैज्ञानिक इस हिंदू नेशन में वेदों और योग की डीपली नॉलेज रखता है, उसको एक खास उपाधि भी दी जाती है, जिसको कहा जाता है गवर्नर्स ऑफ द एज ऑफ इनलाइटनमेंट। तो दोस्तों, इसलिए सन 2009 में फेमस न्यूरो साइंटिस्ट डॉक्टर टोनी नेडर को विश्व शांति के वैश्विक देश का पहला सार्वभौम शासक बनाया गया था, जिसके चलते ये वैज्ञानिक दूसरे वैज्ञानिकों के साथ मिलकर सन 2000 से लेकर अब तक इस हिंदू वैदिक नेशन को लीड करते आ रहे हैं, जिनमें से एक बेहद ही फेमस फिजिसिस्ट का नाम है डॉक्टर जॉन हैगले, जो ग्लोबल कंट्री ऑफ वर्ल्ड पीस के प्रेसिडेंट भी रह चुके हैं। ये सनातन धर्म के उपनिषदों से काफी ज्यादा प्रभावित है, इसलिए इन्होंने यूनिफाइड फील्ड थ्योरी को उपनिषदों से बहुत ही क्लियर वे में रिलेट किया हुआ है, जिसका सबूत आपको इस वीडियो में भी मिल जाएगा।
Good afternoon, Shankaracharya Maharaj.
Rajaramji, great sadhus and scholars and scientists and political leaders and entrepreneurs. It's really an honor to be participating in this great new awakening of the profound and powerful Vedic wisdom in this auspicious conference. My focus and the focus of this conference primarily is the Vedic science and its practical technologies in our modern world today.
दोस्तों डॉक्टर जॉन हैगलिन भी भगवान श्री राम के सच्चे भक्त हैं। पर केवल इतना ही नहीं, डॉक्टर जॉन हैगलिन यूरोपियन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन फॉर न्यूक्लियर रिसर्च यानी कि CERN में क्वांटम फिजिक्स पर रिसर्च भी कर चुके हैं। दोस्तों यहाँ पर आप ये अंदाजा लगा सकते हो कि इतना बड़ा वैज्ञानिक भी भगवान श्री राम को अपना आदर्श मानता है। पर दोस्तों अब यहाँ पर प्रश्न ये उठता है कि इस हिंदू नेशन की इन वैज्ञानिकों ने शुरुआत कब और क्यों की, यानी कि इन स्कॉलर्स का हिंदू राष्ट्र बनाने का मेन मकसद क्या है। तो दोस्तों इस सब की शुरुआत करने वाले महान योगी का नाम है महर्षि महेश योगी, जिसने ट्रांसेंडेंटल मेडिटेशन के माध्यम से पूरी दुनिया में सनातन धर्म को पॉपुलराइज किया था, जिसके कारण दुनिया के सबसे फेमस लोगों ने सनातन धर्म की अद्भुत सभ्यता और संस्कृति को पहचाना और अपना जीवन सनातन धर्म का प्रचार करने पर निछावर कर दिया। तो दोस्तों इसलिए ग्लोबल कंट्री ऑफ वर्ल्ड पीस के फाउंडर भी महर्षि महेश योगी ही है। इन्होंने इस हिंदू वैदिक कंट्री की शुरुआत अमेरिका में सन 2000 में की थी। इस वैदिक नेशन को बनाने के पीछे महर्षि का सिर्फ एक ही मकसद था कि दुनिया में एक ऐसा वैदिक नेशन भी हो जो भगवान श्री राम के राज्य से इंस्पायर्ड हो। इसलिए दोस्तों GCWP के नेशनल लीडर्स और टॉप ऑफिशियल्स को राजाज की उपाधि दी जाती है, जिनकी वेशभूषा भगवान श्री राम के पहनावे से इंस्पायर्ड होती है। इसलिए सन 2008 में डॉक्टर टोनी को महाराजा आदिराज राजा राम की उपाधि दी गई थी, जिसके बाद ज्यादातर लोग इनको इसी नाम से बुलाते हैं। तो दोस्तों ये था विश्व शांति हिंदू राष्ट्र, जो सिर्फ और सिर्फ वैदिक कल्चर पर बेस्ड है, जहाँ पर दुनिया के सबसे फेमस स्कॉलर्स इस नेशन को रन कर रहे हैं। तो दोस्तों आज की इस वीडियो में इतना ही। अगर आपको वीडियो पसंद आई हो तो वीडियो को लाइक जरूर कर देना और ऐसी ही यूनिक और इन्फॉर्मेटिव वीडियोस को देखते रहने के लिए इस चैनल को जरूर से जरूर सब्सक्राइब भी कर लेना। तो थैंक्स फॉर वॉचिंग।
Namaste, and welcome to Vedic Vidya. My name is Jeffrey Armstrong, Kavindra Rishi. Vedic Vidya is available exclusively on Chitti Media, English channel, on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. IST. Our topic for tonight is why 80% of Christians surveyed admit to believing in reincarnation, or how the theory of karma and reincarnation is being embraced around the world. Well, I think first we need to know one more thing, and that is that science being embraced around the world did not come from the Romans, who were terrible at math and who can do anything with Roman numerals. Try to balance your checkbook with X, V, I, V, I, V, I. That's not going to work. So science did not come from the Romans at all. And the Greeks were afraid, they were scared to death of zero. They hated zero. So if somebody tells you that the Greeks invented science, you say, sorry, not possible. You can't do binary mathematics, ones and zeros, you know, what computers work on. You can't do that kind of thing without something called Boolean logic. And Boolean logic is a particular kind of logic with AND gates, NOR gates, OR gates. And this mathematics allows the kind of logic that was necessary for technology to begin. And that numeracy and that logic of bulls was taken from the Rig Veda, the oldest of the Vedic literatures. So this has been completely erased because during colonization, especially the British, with all due respect to those who didn't do this, but those people then all did not want to hear anything that proved the historical timeline of Christianity wrong, to put it very simply. Their bottom line was certain things happened 2,000 years ago, and before that, at the most 4,000 years before that, and that's the very beginning. This was the bottom line of thinking for our ancestors for thousands of years, at least from the Romans forward. And by the time there was a Catholic Church, they didn't want to hear about reincarnation. They didn't want to hear about other times in history. They didn't want to hear that Sanskrit is the mother language of both Latin and Greek and hundreds of other European languages, because they were busy colonizing. They did not know they were opening Pandora's box. Think of it that way. Think that the cultures that went and colonized India, and especially the British, opened Pandora's box. Did you know, since I suspect a lot of you speak English, since I'm speaking English, that English did not have a dictionary worth mentioning, nor a translation of the Bible into English when the colonization of India began. So you barely had a language called English, and there was no English translation of the Bible. And yet, India is the place where the world's most sophisticated language, Sanskrit, was devised. Sanskrit is Samskritam. It means the language that was perfected. Perfected for what? As a programming language to pass knowledge forward through history. No one's probably told you this, but this is very important. That the Sanskrit language is a programming language with very specific, it has 50 letters, first of all. English has 26. You got it? A little bit smarter. 50 letters. They're all pronounced the same always. No accents. No southern accents. I'd say I speak this way, properly speaking. All of that distortion of language comes from not speaking it properly. In fact, in English, there is no properly. It was just south of England. Their accent was, the wealthy used that accent, and so that one took over. But really, there's no logic to it. You understand? You haven't heard this before. And Sanskrit also has roots called dhatus, and there are about 2,212 dhatus, and those dhatus are the roots of all the words. So those roots give rise to specific words of specific meaning. This most precise language was something that England and English speakers really did not want to talk about, but mostly because it proves the historicity of the Vedas, because they become reliable, because the language is so reliable. Far more so even than Greek or Latin, way more so than any European language, and especially English. English is good at objects, not good at meanings. The meaning of a word comes from its root. Now, what we're talking about here is reincarnation. So why am I going back into the roots of language? Well, because reincarnation, or what goes around comes around, is simply what we now call science, what we now call computers, what we now call mathematics. The very basis of all of our communication technology, and that you're even able to listen to me like this, did not come from Western civilization. It came from India. It came from the knowledge of India in the Vedic literature, which is in Sanskrit. Our topic tonight, though, is why 80% of Christians surveyed admit to believing in reincarnation. They don't, think, oh, I'm no longer a Christian. They just add that vitamin in to the mix. Because a religion is also a social group, isn't it? It's a kind of buying group. In fact, no disrespect, but Judaism, Christianity, and Islam have structured themselves a little bit like Walmart, Costco, and Target. Meaning they're a useful buying group where if you're in the club, you get to meet a lot of people, learn to do business with them, find wives, find families, find all kinds of things. So that part of religion is very natural for human beings because we're social beings and we need to cluster together somehow, and numbers makes us stronger. So India understands this very well, and that's why there's a diversity of groups all throughout the culture, because that biodiversity is just like biodiversity in nature. But why would, in our times, Christians start, you might say, violating the rules of stay away from the beliefs of India? And the answer is very simple. It's because everyone now is more literate. Everyone now has access to reading all the literatures of the world. If you're online and you're not taking the trouble to read the knowledge of India, it has the largest library, historical library of knowledge of any place in the world. Why would you not? And most people agree with me. So they do. And as they do, the first thing that makes sense to everyone is that it is selling the human experience way too short to be cramped into just one tiny little, not so very meaningful lifetime. It makes way more sense if you kept everything else in Christianity the same. If Jesus is the hero and the one who spoke everything and a direct hotline to the Supreme Being, then let's just say that maybe someone deleted reincarnation. Well, you could still like Jesus, you could still like Muhammad, you could still like anybody. And the only thing you would add is a little bit of slack, a little bit of patience, that you get a little bit longer, like many lifetimes. So what's happening with technology is that everyone's mind is getting bigger. And as the universal view of the planet, as they travel from place to place, they meet people, make friends in different cultures. They find out those cultures are not so bad like they maybe thought. Or maybe they didn't know what to think, but now they think, well, that was lovely. I went to Japan, I went to Korea, I went over here, I went over there. They're still people. But then you start talking to those people and they tell you they have a thousands of year history, 10,000, 20,000. And did you know that along the Silk Road for the last at least 10,000 years, things have been going from China and all across and into Europe and across into the Middle East and then across to India, because China and India were two of the most ancient and most interesting cultures, and they were passing goods and ideas back and forth for many, many years. In fact, I just read an article the other day, and it said that 1,000 years ago, about 300 Sanskrit texts from India were taken to China and translated. They were translated into Chinese. So this is all based on a very simple principle that if the more your mind grows, the wider its experiences are, the more encompassing your vision of everyone is, the less provincial, the less sectarian, the less ignorant of the fact that wisdom exists in all the cultures of the world in varying degrees. Things that no other culture knew. So if you're smart, you wouldn't throw away the club you're in, but you would start adding knowledge that your club doesn't have. And if you understand why both Islam, again, no disrespect, Islam and Christianity, for long periods of time, were known for burning libraries. I can't say I know exactly why. I wasn't there. Maybe I was on either side of the game. But just understand, they viewed knowledge as the enemy of their particular viewpoint, because the more knowledge people had, the more they shopped to decide what they believed. They took some of this and some of this. Don't you do that? Don't you hear something and go, that makes sense, and add it in? Well, this is what's happening throughout the world. Anyone who just has blinders on, is just reading their book and won't read anything else, is either illiterate or a coward. And it's not even fun. But if it's interesting and enjoyable and unique And who knows, maybe it has wisdom. I have a degree in history and comparative religion. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've studied all the religions right back to their roots, read their books. So here's something I like to say. So people have a book. The Judaic culture has several books or multiple books. Then from Christianity and to Islam, they become people of a book. So I have a degree in comparative religion, and I've studied the knowledge of India for the last 50 years with great curiosity and hunger. Now I can tell you that if you haven't read the Vedic library, no offense, but you're a little bit illiterate. You're just ignoring something that's amazing. Why would you not? So those traditions now are simply moderating. And if they get additional knowledge, it doesn't mean they have to leave the fundamental truths of their religion, but adding on important knowledge is helpful. And the point here is having, you've heard this word, it's called Mahatma. We're called the Atma. Atma means the immortal being inside. When we go namaste, we're addressing each other as the Atma, the part that can't die. So reincarnation is based on that. Just that one simple thing. As soon as you get it, that the shining energy that's inside of other living entities is called the Atma. It doesn't die. It simply goes from life to life. Okay. Well, as soon as you understand that, that is reincarnation. That is simply that you won't die ever. And you're visiting matter, and you came here for the learning experience. Then why not add things? And why not add things that make sense? So what never made sense to most Christians, I was born a Christian, by the time I was 13, I said, wait a minute. Jesus seems friendly, but his father seems like a real mean son of a gun. William Blake called Yahweh mean old Nobodaddy. Why? Because he seems to want to punish everyone. And if you get that feeling, then you go, wow, Jesus is loving and his father is nasty and mean and wants to punish you and send you to hell. That's not good. But reincarnation says, chill, relax, like you say in Hawaii. Shaka, hey, haole, you take it easy, you live longer, you'll have a heart attack. Honestly, we're shopping for ideas right now, aren't we? So if you haven't read the Vedas, especially the Bhagavad Gita, I just did a translation of it recently called The Bhagavad Gita Comes Alive. But take a look at some of this library of Vedic knowing. Don't be prejudiced by the politics of the world. Just be someone seeking truth, and that's what I'm telling you. Truth-seeking is a game we play from life to life. Whatever you gain in one life, you keep it, and you move on to the next life, and you start out there. It's just like going to school. Just like you start out in kindergarten, 3rd grade, 7th grade, 12th grade, begin university, sophomore, beginning of university, get better, bachelor's, master's. I must admit, I went to university quite a bit, so we had a little joke. First you get your BS, then you get your MS, then you get your PhD, and that is BS is BS, and MS is more of the same, and PhD is piled higher and deeper. Well, that's because universities have echoed the religions that are insisting there's only one life, and only one life puts you in jail and does not give you freedom. All of us human beings are freedom-loving. We don't want to be confined, put in a jail, put in a cell, locked in just a few ideas. So really, quietly, without being violent or rebellious, because the Vedic culture of India is not aggressive, it doesn't convert. There's no conversion program. We have a motto in the Vedic culture, no coercion, no conversion, only friendly conversation. The only way you can hear the knowledge of India is in a friendly conversation. Otherwise, it's not being done right. But so coercion, conversion, all of those things, they're just not fun. They're a terrible way to get to know each other. But exchanging ideas, trading things that are made in your culture, passing around ideas, that's marvelous. So I'd like you to just think that the world, without making radical external changes, is now becoming bigger in your mind. So the word I want you to learn is Mahatma. The word mega in Latin comes from Maha in Sanskrit, like a megalopolis, big, 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 big city. So Maha in Sanskrit is the source of that. And Atma is you, the being who is immortal. That's who reincarnates. So, the saying in Sanskrit and in yoga is that if you become a Mahatma, you hold a bigger view of reality. And you know what the immediate result of a bigger view of everything is? Patience, calmness, less anger, less violence, more understanding and empathy. So when you become a Mahatma, it's based upon reincarnation, which in Sanskrit is called samsara. It means swimming together through matter from life to life. Next time someone says reincarnation, you say, oh, you mean samsara. The Atma swimming through matter from life to life. Yes, exactly that. In pods like dolphins, in groups, no problem. Have a group, have a religious group. Just don't force it on anyone, that's fine. Choose the buying club or the group store to shop at that you like. Biodiversity is useful. This is what the Vedic culture is. People say India is too complicated. No, it's diverse, very different. If you're a smart shopper and you know what you're looking for, there's thousands of volumes in the Vedic library, and I'm just giving you a few words and concepts that will make you a Mahatma. And that is the hope of the Vedic Vidya. Vedic Vidya means shining the light of truth. Tune in to Vedic Vidya on the Chitty Media English channel on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. IST. My name is Kavindra Rishi, Jeffrey Armstrong. See you next time, and have a Namas day.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.